Got the power pack.
Alright, guys. I'm back to the Matrix. To the Matrix. Alright, alright, alright. Welcome to Sunday. It is 9:30 a.m. Just chilling over here, not doing much at all. Waiting for Monday, obviously. Tomorrow, trading hours. I don't know if I'm gonna be on or not, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Today I wanted to spend an hour, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, just have to set the alarm or make note of the time. No, just kidding. I have no idea how long this is gonna be. All right, so I feel like weekend shows is pretty easy to do. Weekdays, it's a little. Sometimes I get too busy. Like I don't know what to do sometimes, what to say. Cray. Alright, so I have a few videos here, but just related to Gamestop. And I have some review to go on here. Apparently people don't like the power pack or whatever, that there's a lot of hype going on, but I mean, isn't it says in the box here? Like people keep saying it's a scam. I'm looking at the review here. Wait, hold on. Thought it was that. So this is a power pack. Serial 1. Obviously there's another one, Serial 2. So what it is, you get two random pack, and then one mystery PSA graded one. And it says right there, you could get 8 grade A card and above. I mean, it's pretty clear. Now, when you scroll down to the review, right? Okay, look at this. Enjoyed it, 5-star. PSA 10, 5-star, right? Great, PSA 9. People are happy for that one. Of course, again, that depends on the value of the card, right? And I tried today, got PSA 10 worth 50. Okay, so I guess it depends on what they get in the mystery box, right? Box. So they are going to give a review based on that. This person get PSA 8, but they're still happy with the mystery box. See what I mean? So, but this one didn't get PSA 10, of course, see. But they still give the 5-star. No, I did not gamble. I'm not. Where's my bedpost? Oh my god. So again, like a reference to Ken Griffin. So this one, 1-star, 1-star review and all that. 1-star, don't waste your money. Right? This is 1 day ago. So apparently they didn't get the PSA 10, maybe? I don't know. And my opinion is that this is a gamble, obviously. Like, it's a mystery box. Right? So what are you expecting? And yeah, sometimes you're going to get a big hit, and, sometimes you're not going to get anything. So you paid $60 for it. You know, if you're a member, you pay you know, a little bit less, but they've been clear on what the box is all about. But anyway, I mean, people will like. I bet you anything the people that rated at 1 star would have been so happy if they get, you know, some big hit. So it's crazy. But sometimes people put review and it makes no sense at all. You know, the same way with the second one that I saw on the review, and also too. Well, this is the first review. No, it's actually 3 of them. 1 star. So nobody has gotten any hit yet, right? But there is a video. This guy's pretty popular. What I've noticed about him, his channel and everything. So I'm not quite sure how many people know this guy. Let's listen in.
See what we got here. What'd you get?
Big air balloon.
Whoa!
That's a cool card.
Cool?
Here, you can have this, Jessica.
Where'd you get that? Palmer, where'd you...
It looks like I staged it, but it wasn't. That was literally the first pack I opened.
That's
Traders, in this
Got the power pack.
So again, claiming that they're not staging it. If it's real or not, but I like that, right? And this is from Gamestop.
Got the power pack.
Just looping it in. And can I get to the description of this video? There we go. So it seems like they're ramping up on the advertisement, try to get people, you know, used to the product that they're selling, which is a good thing. I mean, you know, not blocking that. I mean, so we're doing great things. We're doing great things as a company, obviously, and whatever's happened, company's doing well. Okay, the price action, it needs to be going up based on the sentiment. So, whatever sentiment that you are subscribed to, just make sure that it's grounded in reality as well. Okay? All right, so let's switch. No, actually, not yet. Now, I went to eBay and looking at the Staplegate, and it seems like it's kind of hovering at 250. Last time it was kind of around this price point too, so perhaps this is going to be the price, right? But we have 3 more days left before that happens, and yeah, I'm still gonna continue to monitor this for quite a bit of time. I've noticed this one here now. Again, you guys, this can be like a very dangerous, thing where people are gonna be like, "Wow, the news, right? GameStop scam customer or whatever, scam people for Staplegate selling a fake one." I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like this is just be careful, right? You have a replica and claiming to be somebody who from GameStop to sell it that. So don't fall for it, you guys. Don't fall for it. Although it clearly says replica, hopefully nobody falls for that. Okay, but this is the real one apparently. So, and who listed it. Yeah, GameStop. GameStop listed it. Perfect. Anyway, so Bitcoin has been going on a steep incline, and I think it's not gonna ever stop. Guys. Now, not to say that it won't pull back, test this trend line over here, and then continue to go back. So just be aware of that. It may still do that thing on Monday just to scare people off. I mean, 5%, not too bad on Bitcoin, but if you have altcoin, right, it's gonna, be devastating. However, the trend is up. So long as you could stomach the drop, okay. This is where I got my training from, you guys. I'm telling you, it does you wonder if you've been investing in crypto and see the drop of 20% a day and all that stuff, and still stay strong. And not only that, have the conviction to add more to. You will be, in for a big surprise. When they are recovering back. Of course, like being, I have experience in this for quite some time, and I still feel fearful at times. I'm not immune to it, obviously. There are times when I'm was like 30% down, and and then the next day it was like 2% more down. Psychologically, it was kind of like tormenting. It's like, am I wrong about this investment? And of course, inevitably, it recovered back. And then, I regret not buying more over here because I saw XLM down here. And of course, I have subsent like a lot of exposure already at this point in time, but my portfolio was down 30% at that time. And I had some, change to get into something. Because I was thinking, okay, should I get into GameStop or crypto? Of course, I didn't do both because I had to use that fund for something else. But I did think about, it's like, oh, what if a couple more days? Had I done that, obviously, I could have waited to send that fund, and I could have waited a week. It would have been an amazing run here. But it's okay, it is what it is. Like I said, I have a lot of exposure already, but the greed in me, right, to see this, like in hindsight, this is what happened when you're down here. Typically, your mind just muddle in mud, thinking that you're wrong about the investment, and this is why when I say, when it's boring, when it's fearful, when people are down in the rud on something, right, very negative on something, that's usually when the time to buy, right? Again, depends on the investment, right? You don't want to always have that fallacy either. So do the research that you need to do for everything that you are putting your money into. Okay. There's a reason why I picked these three coins. Three coins. These two for now. Majority of my portfolio is in XLM. Close to the majority. The second best is XRP, and then the third best right now is ADA. But of course, I trim in and out of these. But with this one, I'm gonna try to hold it for at least 10 more years. At least to the next cycle, right? Because this cycle is gonna do well, and then the next cycle is gonna do even better. So that's what I'm planning to do. However, yes, if it's go up like 10x from here, right? Of course, that's just speculation on my part here. I'm not saying it's gonna go 10x or anything. So do your own research. But, I'm preparing for that. Um, with that with that being said, though, I really think that it can be. But I'm gonna trim, position 10% at a time at a certain price level. So if I draw a Fibonacci from here to here, right? I could tell that the maximum extension that this might be able to go to. But hey, Bitcoin depends on how high Bitcoin's gonna go, and how quickly it's gonna go up there. This is going to go quick as well. So that's why, again, it's not far-fetched to think that it's going to be, 10x from here. But for now, this is going to be around 5x or so. Right. So I'm going to start taking some profit around 250. 250, sell 10% of my portfolio. And then if it goes $1 above incrementally, I'm going to sell 10% each time around. So that's just a strategy that I'm going to, because again, you guys, crypto is pretty short-lived. Anytime there's a spike like this, right, price discovery and all that stuff, and people will take profit off of this. This is what you're seeing right here. Had you bought over here, you would have been down from the top to the bottom 70% down. Okay, yeah, that would test anyone patient. But if you're long term, you don't really care. You just keep adding, right? But yeah, so I've been accumulating the last 3 months or so, since March for this one. Well, technically, I did add around this time right here because I thought it was gonna do the triangle thing. But anyway, so around January or February here, and just slowly adding more and more and more. But yeah, that's just my crypto shenanigans. Of course, my plan was I thought it would have run before that. Like 3 months ago, around March and April, or even May. I thought May would be the time to sell, but it seems like this is the May cycle. So it's a little bit extended. I expect this to happen in May. So now it's July. Is it tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow is Monday, so it's like quote unquote crypto week. People probably are preparing for that, and this is the sell the news event type thing, right? And so tomorrow it might go up and then drop back down, right? Just to get people to buy up top and then come back. So again, this is just XRP. LM perhaps is going to do that same thing. I'm hoping it's going to be quick. Right, 1 week, next week, drop, continue. So if next week it reaches my target, right? I might just sell, the 10% or even a little bit more. Who knows? But my goal is to sell 10%. To wait and see. The hardest part is to sell, you guys, because you think that you're gonna miss out on some run and all that stuff. But with crypto, you never know. And so I'm more aggressive in selling on crypto. With Gmail, it's a little bit different because I know for a fact that, okay, even if it comes down here, I'll be okay holding for, the next 6 years anyway. So I'm not in a hurry to just sell right now. See what I mean? Because crypto, when it goes up really fast and then crash really fast. So you have to make a fast decision. So that's cool. But anyway, I'm so excited, you guys. I think September is when I'm gonna start shaving some too, because if you look at the guys, if Bitcoin do well, Jimmy's gonna do well too. Okay. And my thought too is that people who benefited from, hold on. Okay. Yeah, so people who benefited from the run for crypto, Bitcoin or whatever, will put some of that money into Gmail. My speculation, right? But let's put that here. I think 19, right? 19,000. 119,000 right now. So we are up quite a bit, $50 million at the moment. 19? Okay, so it's still 18. So just say around $50 million on Bitcoin holding so far. But again, you guys, this need to close. What is the end of quarter? I think it's okay. January, February, March, April, May. So May already end. So this is the beginning. Okay. 10. Hold on, you guys. I'm trying to figure out what is the quarter end. I should know this. What the heck? What kind of GME investor is that? Sounds like a fake one. Okay. Sorry. Dog's going crazy. Hi, Matt. What's up? Sorry. Kind of ignore you guys here. Hold on. I'm trying to concentrate right here. Okay. So quarters. Okay, quarter ends May. Quarter end May. So May, I would count June, July, August. So 3 months. So August, the end of August, that's when we want to see where Bitcoin's going to be landing at. Okay. Now, based on the M2 money supply narrative, okay. And it's not a narrative, it's like what has been kind of following. You know, people have been tracking the M2 money supply globally and noticed that it go up to 160. Okay. And hold on, let me see. I saw a video that does that. And I love how he was looking at the chart and everything. Let me try to find it real quick. I think I sent it to someone. Man. No, not that. That is so annoying. Hold on. Okay. Right here. Boom.
My name is Colin, and this is Colin Talks Crypto.
Yes, go to watch his channel. That would be for education purposes. So right here, this is a chart that he shows on his channel. And September, that's the why I got the 160,000 for Bitcoin. Now at the end of the quarter for GME, this is where it's kind of stopped. Okay, at the end of August. So just say September 1st, right? Or start of August. Okay, so August 3rd. Okay, so it's a little bit less. So it would be around here, right there. Okay, so I would say around 155 to 140. Say 130. I'm always underestimating, just again, the worst case scenario type deal. Say 130 to 155. Okay. Guys, this is just a ballpark. Don't be going crazy, okay? So it would be around there by the time we end our quarter. Pretty stoked, okay? So when we know what price Bitcoin's gonna close at, okay? The 3rd of August, okay? I don't know why the 3rd of August, but I just see it here, 3rd of May, 2nd of so a couple days including in that. So just be aware of that as well. Now, let me see. So this right here. So wherever Bitcoin is going to go into, which it seems like it's going to follow this frame right here, that would be amazing. Why on August 3rd? Because we want to know the price of Bitcoin so that we could calculate based on how much money are we making here from the holding. Hopefully we see that, leadership's gonna add more Bitcoin at whatever price over here, down here, right? I mean, everything is in line, you guys. Don't be crazy, okay? Don't be so naive to think that it's never gonna happen this way and that way. Things are bright around here. Future are bright. Okay, so let's just say it ends at 135. Okay, speculation. Don't be crazy either. Right there, 1 million. So and so. Okay. Now, if you think that they are going to double, okay, double the holding here. Okay, double the holding. Or somehow increase to, let's say, 8,000. Okay, 8,000 coin would be $1 billion right there, you guys. Let's just say they bought it late in the game. Okay, right here, bought it right here at the breakout, right? How much would they be able to get for $1 billion? Because remember, they still have $1 billion to buy. They promised $1.5 billion. Who knows? They could use it for other stuff too, but that was the first convertible notes in order to buy Bitcoin. So let's say they bought it right here, 113. $1 billion divided by 113. Right? Boom. That would be 8,000 Bitcoin plus 4. Okay. there would be 13,000 Bitcoin. Oh, goodness. Can you imagine? So 13,000. Okay, again, assumption, you guys, assumption. Okay, don't be crazy, don't be crazy. So let's say they they bought it at the breakout, technical, whatever, there's a reason to buy into it. Are they aware that that's what they're doing? Who knows? Perhaps that's been the plan all along, to wait for the breakout, to wait for the confirmation in order to buy Bitcoin and go all in, or all in, quote unquote, at least whatever amount that they, plan to, right? So in that case, they use 1 billion, and this 1 billion would be less, right? Because now they add 1 billion to Bitcoin holding. So instead of have 7 billion, you would have 6 billion. I mean, yeah. I think that's what it is. So let's just say that's what happened. Now, the price of Bitcoin goes up to this point at the reporting period. So then our Bitcoin holding is going to be $1.8 billion for the next quarter. Oof, you guys. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine? But anyway, this is all speculation, okay? So as if for right now, we know that for a fact that they have 4,710 Bitcoin. Okay. So yeah. So for now, if they didn't add anything and the price of Bitcoin goes to this 135 by the end of by the beginning of August, then we have over $100 million. Okay, earning from Bitcoin holding. Pretty good. I mean, that's the worst case scenario if they don't do anything, adding anymore. Even the worst case scenario, right? It's still good. Right? If, what is it? Hocus? Like, I have no idea what you're writing here. I want to, what? Oh, no. Well, thank you. I mean, can you just marry me with the voice already? Why do you need to see the face? I mean, nah, it's okay. Just imagine, a two, with this amazing voice. How about that? There you go. You got it. You got it. Anyway, so let's see. So fundamentally, it's been improving. Let's see. This is my speculation on Bitcoin. Obviously, $8 trillion this time around at the peak, okay, of the cycle. I think it's going to go higher, eventually, but I don't think, people would be like, what? It's not worth, what Apple combined. I mean, if Nvidia could go up to $4 trillion, come on, Bitcoin can, as a commodity, okay? What people don't realize is like, Bitcoin is a commodity, plus some other things too. It's like it traded like tech stock already, right? And so combining the two, so it's like a hybrid of the two, tech stock and a commodity. I mean, that's worth, noted in that. So if it compete with gold, right, it's going to be like $14 trillion. And then on top of that, you tag on the technological advantage onto it, then it would be above. That's why Michael Saylor was saying, $100 trillion market cap is coming for Bitcoin over, the next century. Okay, so if you know the trend to be that way, why wouldn't you go all in? But again, highly conviction, right? The conviction, the courage to be wrong, and the conviction to stay in course, to stay with your idea. And it's not just idea, you guys. Like, this is math, and people will understand Bitcoin when they need to, when they come to realize that they need Bitcoin rather than Bitcoin needing them to go higher. No, that's a misconception, right? People think that Bitcoin needs people to buy into it for it to go up in value. That's much like saying that gold need people to go to buy it in order to send it a higher price. Not really. It just depends on the supply and demand and how many people are agreeing to buy into gold to hedge for inflation and all that stuff, right? So fear, anytime you notice that people are fearful of something, government shutdown and all that stuff, you typically see gold go higher in price, pretty much. Right? So it's crazy to say. I mean, to think about it. Anywho, all right. So with that thought, I just thought that I just thunk to think about it. Okay, there's no news. Oh, what is this? Okay, this lady is talking about GameStop. I have not seen this segment, you guys. You guys. Okay. Hold on. Skyrocket over. Okay. Except GameStop, right? So they used to propose 1.7, but that turns into $2.7 billion. Ooh, ooh, that's crazy. Okay, let's listen in. I think they talk about other company here.
The bullish bias, and so when that happens, you look at what
your list. I'm curious to know what's your view. I mean, this always brings up a lot of, angst, whether you're on the bullish or the bearish side when it comes to GameStop. You have a lot of retail investors who still love this one. How are you looking at this one, Mike?
That's why I threw it in. It's kind of fun. I mean, it's the stock that just won't go away, right? And no matter what, that we have this army of people that are going to try, at the very least, to try and hold this thing up. And so I don't want to just say, well, I'm going to pick the low. I do see that, right when we get down to that 21 area, that was kind of where the shorts started covering. Now we have this big gap to the upside. So if we can get through the bottom or the top of the bottom of that gap at 24.41, who knows where it starts rolling in from there. And so when you get a play like that, and implied volatility is also low, I think it's worth a shot. And I realize I don't want to say it's a joke because it's still real money, but it is a fun stock to watch because there's a lot of different market participants and things going on, fundamental values and all that stuff that people want to argue about. And it's just fascinating to watch what can and has happened.
Okay, some say the game don't stop for GameStop, but what does the chart tell us, Ben?
Well, Diane, this is a stock and a company that's reinvented itself so many times, and the chart is doing the same thing, right? We look over the course of this last year, and you can see some really varied movement, right? So it came down, it found that bottom down around that $19 mark. It rallies back up into that 30 range, and now you get this gap to the downside on the earnings announcement. And the question is, where does it go from here? I think If you look at that RSI, I mean, I think we're going to look at that as kind of the key here. We get this big move to the downside and a little bit of a rally back up into that 23, 24 area. I'm just going to kind of round, or traders typically tend to round those numbers off. And you get a bounce down today, a little bit of a downward candle, gap down, and a bit of a sell-off. It looks to me as if it is a bit of a dead cat bounce here on GameStop with that possibility of a move back down to that diagonal.
Of course, it's a dead cat, right? Until it's not. Huh?
Trend line, which puts it down to the support around the 21 mark. If it doesn't, if we get some reversal here, if that RSI starts to pick up, you could see this kind of game that system back up into that gap, and there's not a lot of resistance in that range until you get up about the 26 mark. Beyond that, then you get the resistance at the top edge of the gap up around 28. So there are some stopping points to the upside, but if this just kind of falls flat here, you could see it stay down around this 22 level, Diane.
Okay, Mike, really quickly, I'd love to hear you go through what your approach is for GameStop.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same sort of thing, that I'm not saying that this is the low. I'm saying that if the traders start coming in and get above that level. So I put together this is going to be for July 3rd, the 25-26 half call spread. And you can buy that you should be able to buy that for about 45 cents. And that's not even taking us all the way through that gap. But even with that gap, we're still getting about 2 1/3 to 1 with a 45 bid on that thing. And like I said, that it's just playing on the possibility for this to gap, and institutional money, retail money has kind of said 21's about as low as we're going to go, at least for now, until we get the next piece of crazy news out of this thing.
All right. Well, yeah, there we go. We were watching this one. Shares GameStop under some pressure, still underperforming the S&P 500 year to date. That's Mike Shore, Prosper Trading Academy, and our very own Ben Watson. Thank you.
Anytime there's underperforming, right? They point that out. How about when we overperform? Huh? Did they ever mention that? Probably not. Probably not. Let's see. Anyway, I mean, it's a good segment, I feel, it's at least less bashing. Noticing, well, she did tee it up as if like, oh, it's just retail investor. At least they're kind of like open to the idea that it could be bullish as well, which is I think pretty encouraging, huh? Especially when you hear negative all the time about this company for no apparent reason. Look at this amazingness. Look at this. Like what? Huh? What is life anymore? What is reality anymore? Type thing. But yeah, the beta thing, still noticing that lower. It used to be like 1. But again, this is just measuring against the S&P 500 or the whole market in general. It could flip on its head too. So no worry about that. P/E ratio, obviously, this is the point of concern for most people. They're thinking that Gmae cannot, live up to this particular earnings per share, that it's overvalued. Forecasts, obviously, only one person in the world. And of course, he went from $7 to $14. Can you imagine that? Like, what kind of analyst is this? And people still follow that. People still quote it as if it's like, oh, that's the holy grail right there. That's crazy. Hold on one second. I need to look at Intel real quick. Typically, I look at both because I feel like the numbers is a little bit different. Especially, look, in the institution for Intel is 40%. If you look at institution here, You see that it's like 33%. So this is along the line of what Larry Chain was posting on his post, right? Around 30%. So I'm going with this one because it's kind of like what Larry Chain was posting. But it's also good to note that 40% of it is kind of like stable, meaning that mostly are longs. Only 19 institutions that are shorting only, right? So this is the institution that whoever fighting for. Okay, so technically they are long position. The majority of them are long. And of course, you have 23 that are both. They hedge for their position. They don't care whether they go up or down. Kind of like that. Now, I'm trying to look for a graph that I used to. Am I tripping? Hold on. No. Let's see. That's crazy. Okay, well, I'm sure you know what I mean by the report for attendance. Oh, thank you. Well, you're here? Late though. Why are you so late? What's happening? Don't be late again. I'm gonna send you to the principal office. By the way, thank you for joining us. Good thing it's pre-recorded, so ledger. I might do some quiz later on. Something like that. Okay, so you see, I think this is puts and calls. Typically, you see an even spread, you guys, but I don't know how accurate this is, you guys. Because, you see, the thing is, I don't even know what I'm reading. I think that's a better assessment. Okay, so I'm seeing that people are betting bullish, bearish. Am I looking at this way? The ratio is pretty even. Anywho. But anyway, I'm just looking at this one. If it increased, this is going to be the benchmark that we want to measure. The only thing that I wanted to kind of see is this right here. Might change a little bit, right? Debt to equity ratio. Where is it? I mean, it's not a concern yet. We all know that those debt is not really, it's not detrimental to the operation. It's not like AMC where they're heavily in debt and having to pay, somebody interest rather than, collecting interest from the debt. See, that's important, point to kind of hone on, because they're gonna try to get people to think that GME is gonna be heavily in debt when it's not. The debt that they accumulated from the convertible notes is 0%. Okay. And the debt that people usually get, like AMC, for example, in order for them to sell their company to whoever wants to buy it, typically, if they have big bucks, right, they typically don't want to buy AMC. They would have to, be agreeing to a very, very terrible term in terms of interest. I mean, the most recent offering, right? They're trying to say, well, we are able to push the debt further. Well, at what cost? 18% interest? That's a lot, right? or 12%. I don't know. Again, I might speak in the wrong term, but even just 10%, like, which I doubt that they're able to get that term. 10% interest for a company that doesn't even make any money, that's detrimental. For GME though, when we got that, when we borrowed that money, it's 0%. Not only that, we could use that money to create interest for that. I mean, if you don't see the good in that, I don't know, right? You're being manipulated into thinking otherwise. Okay, trust me, I'm not trying to go look at it yourself. You have not been here a very long time. Just so happened to stumble upon this video. I'm trying to learn about GME. There's a lot of nuance to this story, to this lore. Okay, people want to you to think, but yes. So this is debt to equity. I think it's going to go a little bit higher. So even, I mean, still would be less than 1, right? Because if you look at this one right here, now we have this amount of debt. 1, 2. Okay. So that's $4.2 billion. $4.2 billion debt. Hold on. Maybe I should put it like this so that people see it. Oh, you know what? It's not going to calculate. Yeah, that's bad. That's not what I want. I think I could say this right here. 0%. Hold on. I'll do that later. So people know, hey, the debt is 0%. Clarifying, you never know. I mean, you might, people come out here and say, Jimmy is heavily in debt and they're not doing anything, and it's just understanding nothing about the company. And of course, again, they're increasing the S&P 500 again. What the heck, It used to be 12, and it used to be 14 billion, then 18, then now then 20, and now 22 billion dollars to get this to the S&P 500. It's okay. We'll blow that up. No worry. I mean, I think by the year 27, it will be on its way. Of course, I hope it's gonna be this year, or even the next year, the next fiscal year too. But you never know. You never know. I still think that we could do it in this fiscal year, 2026 actually. But just to be safe, overestimated the time, giving him more time. But like I said, I still have 6 more years to go for this long-term bag. My my thing over here. That's crazy. Okay, so let's listen in to this gentleman here for a little bit. Switch gear, because this is all about Bitcoin. Obviously, you've seen this a million times talked about. That's the reason why, people think that it's going to go up there, and that's why I feel like it's such an easy, 135 right there. Of course, anything could happen. World War III could happen tomorrow, right? Or Trump, bomb somebody else. Who knows? Whatever happened tomorrow. But yeah, just be prepared for that. Okay, let's listen into this one.
This is what we've been expecting on this channel. despite a few of you out there thinking that the bull run was over. I even had one guy in the comments was like, I'm going to follow Colin everywhere he goes and tell him how wrong he was. The bull run is over, and he was getting agreement with a couple of other guys that the bull run was over, and they were going to just make sure that, no, screw you guys. Bull run is on. $117,000, $118,000, new all-time highs, making new all-time highs every day as we thought it would happen. You guys were wrong, those of you who doubted. And we've been talking about this and backing this up with the global M2 money supply. Let's start with that. The global M2 money supply is an aggregate of the global liquidity flowing its way down into not only Bitcoin, but also the stock market, et cetera. It goes down into risk assets, but it takes about 84 days or 90 days to do so. Right now, I think that really the best average is somewhere in this range here, 84 or 90 days. It doesn't really matter. It's the big picture that matters, but I wanted to draw you the up-to-date chart right now. This is $118,000 where Bitcoin is roughly today. And you can see that it's starting to catch up with the global M2 line. We had a lot of people here panicking, fudding, worrying, not being patient. As I've said, patience is the number one skill of an investor. It's very, very difficult to acquire. And all you guys were doubting way too quickly that this correlation was broken, when in fact it is not broken. We have the global M2 money supply having not stopped climbing for about 6 months straight here. We're only about halfway through this move. And what do we have recently? We have this big leg up going vertical with Bitcoin, timed exactly with the breakout of the inverse head and shoulders. This is another chart I've been covering for about a month now, and it did not confirm until we broke out above about 113,000, which was the neckline, this slightly sloped neckline, with a target of $150,000, roughly. I think it's technically like 148,000, but 150,000 sounds better.
Can you imagine if like Ryan Cohen's, again, technical breakout, right? I'm sure he's consulted with a lot of people. Like, hey, when does Bitcoin does this thing, right? Expert chart analysis and all of that. You think in his team he's lacking that education? He's good at managing money. Okay. So maybe he's the greatest investment of all time, investor of all time. Right? So people are gonna be like, well, if that's the case, why didn't you just grow that $4 billion, right? Maybe it wasn't the time for it. Now it is the time for it. Can you imagine that? Crazy. You guys, like, come on. Maybe I'm just like, never mind. Let me just finish this.
Don't you think? So that's the target, guys. It doesn't mean it has to be met. It doesn't mean it can't be surpassed. I've seen targets that fell short. I've seen targets that got blown away. But this is sort of like a rough idea of where we could expect the price reasonably to go statistically. $148,000, $150,000, okay? So we are just at the very beginning baby steps of that breakout, but it is confirmed. This move is confirmed. It is a definitive breakout. We have now 2 daily candles above this neckline. This move is happening, okay? Now, how high it goes, I'm not saying that this is the top of the cycle. It could go higher. I don't know. It could be the top of the cycle. We don't know yet. We're going to look at a lot of metrics on this channel and follow this as we go, because now we're starting to get into a bit of the overheated territory. We're not so overheated that I'm going to start selling yet, but we need to start paying a watchful eye to all sorts of different metrics to decide when we want to start taking profits, if that's something that you want to do. That is something that I want to do. I don't want to ride this whole bull run down and thought, I didn't take anything to show for it. And then I want to be able to rebuy back in lower and buy more Bitcoin. That's my personal strategy. Some of you might just feel more comfortable doing a buy and hold strategy and just hold. And even though there's an 80% dip, just hold. I've done that before and that was extremely painful. But honestly, anything you try to do trading is met with challenges. It's never as easy as it sounds. It's never as easy as you might think it is. I've learned that lesson the hard way. There's no easy path to wealth in crypto. Even holding is difficult, okay? So I'm not saying that you should sell. I'm just saying that I'm looking to sell up to 50% of my portfolio when we do reach whatever I think the all-time highs are, the final pinnacle top, the final peak of the cycle. But it's looking very good because the magnitude of this breakout of this inverse head and shoulders, again, this is, what is this? Let's count right here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, really about 7 months, just shy of 7 months of what was actually a consolidation. An inverse head and shoulders is a consolidation pattern because it broke up. If it had not broken up, if it had broken down below this right shoulder, that would have invalidated the pattern and that would have been the top, pretty sure. But that didn't happen, okay? We confirmed a breakout. That means that this was just a consolidation. And in an uptrend, statistically speaking, topping patterns, which is what a head and shoulders can be, tend to fail. They actually tend to fail more often than not in a bull run. You only get that one final top indicator that's actually the top. Every other pattern up to that point fails as a top indicator and is a continuation pattern. I know it's kind of like defies the logic. You think, oh, head and shoulders equals top pattern. Well, it does, but it only does it at the actual top. Every other time it invalidates. That's why it's very important to look at these key levels, like the neckline. If it had not broken above this neckline, then yes, this very well could have been a top pattern, but it did break above the neckline. The moment it broke above this neckline and confirmed, a couple daily candles, that basically tells you that this target has been confirmed and this pattern was confirmed as.
Well, again, confirmed, like they take it as if like it's happening, right? Well, who knows, right? There's so many different, metric to go into. The fact that the bills pass and, big beautiful bill, whatever. It's a handout to corporation for sure. So that's why you see a lot of like enthusiastic in the market again, and but that's going to be short-lived. So maybe a couple more years, then you'll understand why it's so detrimental, to regular folks. But unless you realize that this is an opportunity at the same time too, unfortunately, the majority of retail, America, whatever, or the whole world, they're not privy to this information. Let alone what GameStop is doing, right? Or Bitcoin. I know Bitcoin is a center stage right now, because they've been pumping it. They've been wanting people to jump into the rally or whatever, but at the same time, though, if you recognize that this is the opportunity and you know when to sell, just like you were saying, like if you know how to time it, and understand the cycle, you could really be a part of that wealth transfer. I know Johnny is talking about that right here. They don't care that retail is going to play a part in the new financial system. It's not that they don't care, it's just that they were late to the game in kind of promoting the blockchain. And at the time, it was kind of like unclear. I mean, it's not something that it's to blame them for. I really think that they were thinking that it was too risky for them because the regulatory unclarity or inclarity or whatever. The regulatory body didn't like Bitcoin at that moment. But they don't know what to do to shut it down, right? And that's why, when at the earlier stage, when someone who used Bitcoin as a transfer of value, remember the Silk Road guy, Ross Perot? They put a heavy sentence on his, on his arrest or whatever, or sentence, even though he was the one who, he was creating a dark web type of thing, and of course you could sell drugs and stuff like that on there, and apparently, but all he did was just creating that platform, and people could use Bitcoin to buy and sell stuff. It's much like eBay, but on the dark web. So it's more accommodative on like the freedom that Bitcoin could have, and so nobody could shut it down. But the government end up finding out who he was. At the time, it was like anonymous and all that stuff. But again, like that case, when kind of underneath the radar, and also to kind of keep people on notice, like, hey, you could really screw your life up if you don't have any regulatory clarity. At this moment in time, it's a lot safer, for the institution to get into. But it just so happened that retail, saw Bitcoin, saw the opportunity much quicker than the institution, and they have the ability to take that risk. And it wasn't much for them to lose at that point in time. I mean, if you saw Bitcoin at $100, $200, or even at $1 at one point, $20 here and there is not going to, but for people who understand the network importance and all that stuff, they keep working on it, they keep holding on to it. They know that at some point it's going to become important, in the future. So most retail got into Bitcoin like that. I mean, I got into Bitcoin in that sense too, where I was like, well, I have like $20, and at the time it was like, you have to pay 5% on top of that. So technically, if you buy $25 worth of Bitcoin, you only get $24 or something like that. So somebody, took a 5% haircut. My point is that the wealth transfer, if you know where to position yourself, you could really take advantage of that too, or take part in that. You don't need a permission. And that's what blockchain is all about, is that, never in history that retail was able to front run the institution and, do it in mass so that they could benefit from it. Not to say that some retail is going to, sell out because they think it's enough for them. It's enough for them to retire, or it's enough for them to buy a Lamborghini or something like that, right? So depends. I mean, eventually you're going to come to find out that, okay, well, institution's going to stay up, stay rich because they don't need the money they don't need that money immediately. They have time to wait, and they have the means to wait longer. So I don't know, just my perspective. I feel like I used to think that it was much more difficult, and come to realize it's just all discipline. If you live below your mean, whatever your mean is, and save 20% of your income, I know, like, sometimes it's tough to do, but you can save 20% of your income. Most people can. I know for a fact, like, yes, it's not a good life. I get it. It's not the life that you like, could go out and eat all the time, and but it's doable. It's doable, and just stay consistent. And unfortunately, it's not enough just to save money anymore. You have to know where to invest that, right? Because just how the world works. It used to be back in the 80s, it's easy to just, okay, save 20% and then let the bank, pay you 6%. You used to get 6% interest from your checking account. I think people don't realize that. I don't know exactly how, but I think they have been suppressing Bitcoin to burn short. Letting Bitcoin run should have bet against the global market. Someone doesn't want them to succeed. Well, of course, I mean, look, futures and, options and all that stuff, we all know how they're able to suppress it, because whoever had the money, right, have the money to wait, they think that they could make a boatload of money in the crypto market. It's less regulated. Now it's going to be regulated more, so that gap's going to be filled. And eventually, you're not going to be able to take advantage of that, as if like in the stock market in general now. And on top of that, you could get what is it? The arbiter trade. The Asian market versus the European market and all that stuff. The price differential between exchanges. So eventually, that's going to be consolidated, and you could trade in one pool. And I think XRPs is going to kind of take a role in that. I'm talking about like 10 years from now, you guys, like way ahead of time here. Because again, even with XRP, right, we don't know how useful it is still. Yes, there's been speculating. There's one use case that we know of, which is cross-border payment, right? And even then, it's still being built out right now. Hold on, you guys. But yeah, as far as like the shorts and long and all that stuff, people who are shorting Bitcoin are mistaken, because what they don't realize is that you cannot make more Bitcoin. You cannot, go to the, yeah, you could put it in the ETF, but eventually people are going to caught on to it, say, well, I don't want ETF anymore. I want the actual Bitcoin. Then what? It's like, well, okay, well, we want spot ETF now. And then people who are educated about that, they're like, hey, don't buy regular ETF, just any type of ETF. Make sure it's a spot ETF where you actually get actual Bitcoin there. So, and I think retail nowadays, I feel like we are more educated than ever, Anyway, so let's see. So yeah, short, whoever want to short Bitcoin, good luck. Good luck for that. I mean, look at MicroStrategy, buying Bitcoin at every day, every turn, and then every single Bitcoin treasury company are spawning up like a freaking. Yes, that's gonna create bubble. So just be aware of that. There's gonna be a time when you should be at least taking some off of the table. Yes, if you want long-term back. That's why again I suggest that people have their own strategy. I built my strategy for a reason, because I understand that, hey, sometimes you cannot time it just right, but at the very least, have a plan to shave some off of your position, especially in crypto. Like I said, it fast, like it goes up fast and come down as quickly as it goes fast. So this one is Ripple dollar, or real dollar. Okay, and it's been kind of going up in volume, which is encouraging. It just means that there's more and more people who are kind of interacting with the XRP ledger. Yes, there's a claim that XRP would be burned using this. Again, I'm not a technical person. I cannot verify that, but I will try to, I know somebody who kind of well versed in the computer, a computer engineer. So I'm gonna try to acquire some information. I might be able to get him on here. Who knows? We'll see. Just try to meet new people and try to understand it from that technical level, the coding, aspect of things, so that I'm not wrong about this technical thing. And as far as XRP go, obviously this is the base layer that I think is going to become important later on in the financial system. They've been building and connecting, networking and all that stuff. So that's going to be paying off. And on top of that, you guys, they've been in the lawsuit. The lawsuit is done now. It's finalized. It's no more suppression anymore. The reason why it wasn't able to exceed the previous level up here was because it's in the lawsuit. Okay. Hey, KCR, I haven't seen you in a while. Still have my Jimmy share. I'm feeling good about it. Of course, that's good. Yeah, me too. I have Jimmy share. We all do. That's good. Perfect. Hope you're able to decrease your cost average. So again, this is just the technical, how the ledger works and how the transaction is able to, be so fast, much more than Bitcoin. The whole idea is that to improve upon the Bitcoin transaction per minute and all that stuff. So that's why XRP was created. It wasn't because Ripple wants. Ripple is just a company that comes after the creation of the XRP ledger. Anyone could build on top of this ledger. So it's an open source. Anyone could use it. Yes, the Ripple sell XRP into the secondary market, or I guess the contract or whatever. That's why that part of sell from Ripple to institution who use XRP or want to use XRP, that part is a security. Okay, but XRP and you and I send to each other are not security. It's a commodity. So that's the ruling, and we've been knowing that for quite some time. So yes, Ripple will go ahead and pay that. Ripple as the company, not XRP, will pay that fine, and they will be able to use XRP if they so inclined to. I think what scared people is that that company has a supply of XRP, half of it, right? So that's why people either jealous of it. It's like, oh, this is not fair. It's like, how is it not fair? I mean, apparently Ripple was given that amount of XRP to use. So, I mean, depends on how you feel about this. Okay. I think that if it's useful and if it's have some property that Bitcoin has, which I think the pre-mined one, it was pre-mined. That's for sure, and there's no more supply being made, and on top of that, it's being burned ever so slightly every single year, time, day, or whatever. So I'm keeping track of that one too. I don't know if you guys. I know every episode I kind of mention this because I'm curious myself, right? Just to see the progress. So apparently, right now, accounting for 207 days so far that I've been tracking this. On average, it's being burned 4,400 coins a day. Okay. So if you want to figure out how many days will it take for it to be burned, then it's gonna take like 50,000 years or something like that. There you go, 62,000 years for it to happen that way. So that's not a human year. So it's so negligible that don't even mention the fact that it is deflationary. But if this chain is being used, increase in usage, hopefully this will increase as well, right? So instead of 4,000 coins being burned, might be 40,000 coins being burned, right? So a day. So that's going to accelerate, hopefully, but it seems like it's decelerating as time goes on. I don't know what's happening there. Maybe something wrong with my math. That could happen too. But it is what it is. All right, guys. I thunk it. Not much, you guys. That's it. I mean, what else should I tell you about Bitcoin? Oh, people are happy with this. Okay? No, the Epstein list and all that stuff. I think it's all distraction, you guys. What the heck is this? What? Oh my gosh. People are crazy. I feel like what is this? Like, it's almost like they're trying to hypnotize people. Distraction, right? You guys, like they're trying to change the whole financial system here. So of course they're gonna distract you everywhere, every which way. Not sure what's happening here either. See, like the whole thing is just a distraction. Anyway, hope you guys stay focused. You know, Jimmy's doing well. We're part of the new financial system now. The fact that we have Bitcoin, okay? That's all you need. That's all you need. All right, I will let you guys go. I'm gonna grab something to eat. Almost an hour and a half of rambling on with no apparent direction. So, stay safe. Don't do anything crazy, okay? And stay hopeful. It's gonna be fine. I know the price is at what, $23 right now. People are like, you know, it's not doing shit. Whatever. Just wait and see. Bye, guys.